Thank you so much, Aline. Very kind of you. Assalamu alaikum and good day, everyone. Good to see all of you connected with Pak Mission Society. And I think this is a very unique workshop and opportunity. And when Alim asked me to conduct this workshop, I was very excited and I was very pleased that we are going to be doing this workshop today. So I would like to welcome all of you, and my role will just be as a facilitator. We'll try to make this a didactic learning experience. We'll learn from each other, and we'll make sure that there's a two-way conversation taking place, and we'll see how things are proceeding ahead. First of all, again, I would like to request someone for the prayer, please. Could someone volunteer for the prayer, please?
Should I pray? Okay. ऐ कदूस 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 लश्कों के खुदावंद है यहोवा यरी, हम तेरे बहुत ही ज्यादा से ज्यादा शुक्रगुजार हैं कि तूने हमें इस जिंदगी अता की है। खुदावंद शुक्रगुजार हैं कि तूने हमें इस मुसीब मर्ज से, इस वबा से अभी तक बचाए रखा है। खुदावंद इल्तिजा करते हैं कि इसी तरह से तू हमें आगे भी इस मर्ज से बचा के रखना। ऐ मेरे प्यारे खुदावंद, तू हम सब की हिफाजत कर, हम सब के साथ हो। खुदावंद दुआ करते हैं कि कोरोना जैसे मर्ज को, कोरोना डिजीज को खुदावंद तू पूरी दुनिया से मिटा दे, इसको खत्म कर दे। खुदावंद खासतौर पे हम अपने मुल्क के लिए दुआ करते हैं, अपने मुल्क में बसने वाले एक एक इंसान के लिए और उन लोगों के लिए खुदावंद जो इस बीमारी से अभी सफर कर रहे हैं कि खुदावंद तू उन्हें शिफा दे। तो आप आज के सेशन के लिए दुआ करते हैं कि आज का सेशन जो है वो हमारे लिए बायसे बरकत हो और उससे जो भी हम सीखें अपनी जिंदगियों में उसे इस्तेमाल कर सकें। मांगते हैं मसीह यीशु के नाम में, खुदावंद का शुक्र हो, आमीन।
Thank you so much, madam. Very kind of you. And I will begin the workshop with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and again, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good to know that all of you are here, and I hope that many more participants are also going to be joining us. I would also like to begin with a verse from Book of John, chapter 13, verse 34. A new commandment that I give to you, that you love one another, even as I loved you, that you also love one another. So even in this time of great adversity and uncertainty and ambiguity, we must love each other, and we must see that we take care of each other. Ladies and gentlemen, I would actually like to begin with an example that when I was asked to do this workshop by the Pak Mission Society, I asked Aline that what should we talk about, because there is so much to talk about. The whole world has basically just turned topsy-turvy. I mean, where the world was on the 1st of March, the world has drastically changed in this 1 month, and whatever we were doing in the first week of March, we are not doing right now. And I think anyone in any position, be the person, be a common laborer, or the president of Pakistan, or a person who is illiterate, or the most celebrated scientist, a person who believes in religion and a person who does not believe in religion, a person who is penniless or a person who has all the money in the world. The whole world has changed. The world has changed. The community has changed. The family dynamics has changed. The organizational dynamics has changed. And therefore, we are all swimming towards a destination which we are not even too sure of. As we go along, I would be sharing with you different examples also. And in all of this uncertainty, no matter who or what we were or what we believed we were, we've just realized that, wow, things have changed and we have to change. So that old cliche that there is only one constant and that is change, I think so it applies over here more than anything else at this particular time. And definitely in this time of unpredictability, one does become a little bit confused that how should we move forward? When we were talking about all of this, and Yesterday, for the first time in my life, I would like to share with you this little secret. I came onto Zoom. When I joined Zoom, then I had a small conversation with Aleem. And then after that conversation, Aleem sends me a video. And he says that this will help you out for tomorrow's session. And when I looked at the video, I had seen that video before, but I had seen it in a different context. This was a little bit different. It was the same video, but it was shared in a different way. And I saw that video and I asked Aleem after this session if he shares it with all of you. He might have shared it earlier. And when I look at that, I looked at it from a different context, actually. I'd seen it a few months earlier. And then this time when I saw it, it was from a different context. And then when I got up early in the morning, I was awake at 4, and I was just thinking that what should I do different today? And I looked at the video again, and what I did was that I got up, and for the first time in my life, I cut my hair. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can see my hair, I know that you don't see my hair because I have very less hair, but since the past 3 weeks, it had grown a little bit. So I had that hair, but it was very ruffled. And for the first time in my life, with scissors, I cut my hair. And ladies and gentlemen, if you can see my small beard, I also cut my beard. So that was something new I did today, and I learned a new skill. I always thought it was impossible, but it was made possible today because I had a very ruffled look. And I thought that maybe Aleem had sent me a message that he didn't want his old professor to look so ruffled in this very unique workshop. And after seeing that video, this is the thing that I did. I would also like to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, some things that I have learned in these 2 past weeks, which I had never learned, besides this skill, which I just acquired today early in the morning, of cutting my hair and beard. And I just realized that, oh, I can do this, and maybe next time I can even do it better. I might have a new hairstyle, even though I don't have hair. And I'll just share with you the few things that I have learned in these days. Like I shared with you, the Zoom software is new for me. So this is my first workshop on Zoom software. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, this is my first workshop online. I mean, I've always been a great proponent of conducting face-to-face workshops. And I always would say that ये तो नहीं हो सकती, ये जो online वाली workshops हैं, ये नहीं हो सकती. But now I am conducting my first workshop. I've been doing teaching online, but I've not conducted a workshop. The second thing that I learned, or the third thing that I learned, is that I also learned Microsoft Outlook 385 because my university is using it. So I had to learn that software to teach online. And therefore, I've been conducting classes since the past 2 weeks online, because our university started off early and we are using Microsoft Outlook 385. Then another thing that I have acquired to do in these 2 weeks is reading digital books. And one of the best books that I have read is called Reflections, and I liked it so much that I've read it 3 times, Johanna, already in these days. And because of that, I'm reflecting a lot also. So these are just a few things, ladies and gentlemen, that what I had never done before, I've started doing, and I've acquired these new skills, which have actually changed my total understanding of teaching and pedagogy. Because when I was having a meeting with the management of my university, I was telling them that all the tools that I am now using will be used in future by me, because yes, we will have the usual way of teaching, but I would now like to augment it, reinforce it with the other teaching. So the moral of this small story of the past 2 weeks is that the circumstances have taught us to adapt, have taught us to change, and have taught us to learn so many things which we might not have been doing earlier. I think that the spirit of life is to evolve, and God has made us understand this, I think so, with this very small virus or microbe which is fundamentally inorganic. And again, what we see is that this small microbe has changed everything and everyone. If you look at the speech of Trump day before yesterday, in which he nearly conceded defeat, actually, which is one thing he never does. I mean, he was talking so strongly in the previous days, but day before yesterday, he basically looked so different. If you look at his demeanor, his body language, if you look into his eyes, if you listen to his words, if you look at his tone, everything has changed for him. He has been made to realize. I'm sorry, I sometimes play with my screen a little bit too much. He's been made to realize that he cannot determine everything. That despite the fact that he is supposedly the most powerful and the richest person in the world, being the president of USA, still there are things which he cannot do, and therefore he, along with his whole administration and the whole nation, will have to change and would have to do things differently. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can understand that from him to everyone, the 7.7 billion people around the world, we are all evolving, we are all changing. And in this change, I can understand and comprehend that there is also an element of fear, there is an element of uncertainty, there is an element of what will happen tomorrow. Where is the world going? There's another example which I'll just share with you, is that because I'm into teaching, therefore we have the Higher Education Commission coming out with policy guidelines. Now, I mean, just imagine that first we thought that we would be beginning classes on Monday, but we could not do that. And then another thing is that we have been forced to close the university up till the 1st of June. But that's not the end of it, because the HEC has basically come up with a policy guideline paper in which they have asked the universities to share what we are going to do up till the 1st of June, then what we are going to do from June to September, and then what we are going to do from September to January, and then what we are going to do in 2021. So we don't know what is going to happen. When will this coronavirus pandemic end? When will this quarantine end? When are things going to change? People are talking about the first wave, then people are talking about the second wave. And yes, all of this is there. This is the background of life as of today. But in all of this, there is great hope. There is great expectation. There is great resilience. There is great strength. There is great innovation. There is great creativity. There is this spirit in which I have been basically interfacing with all of my students across Pakistan, how people have gone beyond their comfort zone. I have seen how individuals, how families, how communities, how societies, how nations have changed, institutions have changed. So, ladies and gentlemen, in all of the gloom, that we have, there is also a lot of glimmer. There is a lot of zeal. There is a lot of happiness, and there is a lot of accomplishment also. So both of these things, ladies and gentlemen, is going together. And in this togetherness, what we see is that people are doing those things which they thought are impossible. They thought it's not possible, but they are making it possible. I mean, look at your own organization, which is now about to venture off and provide relief work in so many cities of Pakistan. So that itself is fascinating. That itself shows how you have turned around and are responding to the needs of the community, are responding to the needs of the society. So all of that is just great, which is happening around us. And we cannot sit down and think, oh no, what is going to happen? What are the expectations? Everyone is evolving. No one knows. Actually, God has basically, through this one small episode, basically also taught us, I think so, in a very swift way, God has taught us that, I mean, all our planning worth trillions of dollars has gone down the drain. But one thing that we have learned is that we have to move forward. And in all of this uncertainty, we have to relive our lives and overcome this pandemic, and overcome the pandemic of poverty, and the pandemic of hunger, and the pandemic of uncertainty. I'm just actually also opening up another email, which I want to refer to when I come to you. Excellent. Very important question, Tanveer Saab. You have basically जिसको कहते हैं hit the nail, जिसको कहते हैं right at the very beginning, that there are many fears. I also at the beginning mentioned that we have these fears of uncertainty. All this fear of job, or fear of staying at home, or the fear of quarantine, and the fear of being away from family, and the fear of the virus itself is basically a fear of uncertainty. First of all, if we look at the virus, then again, you must have also read all of these emails and all of this WhatsApp and all of this Facebook and social media content, that more people die of cancer, more people die of tobacco, more people die of depression, more people die of hunger, more people die of different diseases every day or every month than this particular virus. But then why is it that we don't fear cancer, and we don't fear our lungs collapsing due to smoking? We don't even fear pollution that much. We don't fear getting tuberculosis. We don't fear hunger that much as we are fearing COVID-19, the coronavirus. So first of all, this fear is the fear of uncertainty, because we don't know what this virus is about. There are so many theories, there are so many schools of thought, there are so many conspiracies which are available on all the different mediums. I think so billions and billions are available. Some are talking about something starting from one side, someone's talking about another thing, then there is another conspiracy. So every day we have hundreds or thousands of conspiracy theories coming up, because people don't know what it is about. Secondly, people don't understand in totality how it tends to spread, that how are we going to get afflicted. Then we don't understand that is there any medication for it. Then we don't understand if there is any vaccine for it. We don't understand if the weather is going to affect it or not. We don't understand if warm water is going to affect it or not. We don't understand that if we remain quarantined, are we going to remain unaffected, or if we go out, are we going to remain unaffected? We fear this thing, that one of the most modern nations in the world, one of the most proud nations of the world, Italy, has collapsed. And when we read the Prime Minister stating that nothing can be done on land and nothing can be done on earth, and now we are looking up to the skies to find a solution. And then we hear another statement from the same Prime Minister that that first Italians used to die for their nation Italy, but now the nation Italy will have to die for its citizens. When we hear these type of things and we read these type of things, they have a huge impact. When we see that nations have been held hostage to a unseen virus, that creates uncertainty. The moment, and hopefully God willing, the moment we find a cure to this, or the moment we find a vaccine to this, then you will see that this fear will start evaporating. So yes, there is this fear, and this fear is of uncertainty and all the consequences with it. So it's not unnatural. It is very natural to have this fear. And as a consequence of that fear, there is also this depression, which is attached with that fear, because sometimes when you have fear, then you can overcome it with strength. But here, we don't know if strength is going to overcome it. So we are depressed as the most powerful so-called species of God, that we don't know what to do. What technology do we have to utilize? How is it that our vast resources are going to overcome this pandemic? So that has resulted in this fear. And rightly said, that what should we do? what can we do? So, like I was mentioning very early off, that I would like to share with you that my own small example from my own life, that um, uh, I had this dream, and Alim is a little bit aware of it, that I always wanted to teach social entrepreneurship as a teacher. And I had been trying to get this course approved for many, 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 many years. And then when I got it approved in the winters of 2019, I was very happy, because this was a topic uh, very near to my heart and soul. And therefore, after getting it approved and after developing its course outline and then getting it approved, which is very difficult, let me tell you, because a new course is very difficult to get approved in LUMS. And then a course like this, which actually doesn't talk about getting money, but actually talks about spending money, is not commensurate with our business school principles. But I'm very grateful that it was approved. And then I got the approval. And then we started the course. And I was very, very lucky to get a wonderful batch of 82 students, and in 2 sections. And they were full of fervor, they were full of determination, they were full of this excitement and enthusiasm and energy, as any youth would be, to change the world. And they thought that we are going to change the world, and we will do this, and we will do that, everything, ladies and gentlemen. And so I then decided at that moment that fine, I had planned it in a little bit, but then I replanned it, and we decided that we will create 11 NGOs. And not as a mock exercise, but as a real exercise, we will create 11 NGOs. And not only will we create them, we will run them, and then we will do some really landscape changing projects. So, cutting a long story short, we came out with 19 projects, which everyone thought would not be possible. But in about 6 weeks of day and night effort, uh, things started rolling out. And when we were about to conduct our largest walk, in which we were expecting more than 1,200 people from different parts of society to join in, and we had arranged everything for that walk, and we were going to, for the first time, call for action from others, uh, the corona pandemic hit our institution. And as you do know, that this rumor came out that 20 odd students from Turkey came back from Turkey, and they had this coronavirus, and it's in LUMS. And the whole world turned around. And even though, thanks God, that all the 20 people did not have coronavirus because they were tested and they did not have it, but LUMS, as a security precaution, was the first institution to go for a long vacation on the same day that we had the walk. So that was step one, in which all planning and all efforts, which were done by me and my students and by my teaching assistants and by everyone, management, and by our Office of Student Affairs, and everyone, we wanted to really make a good positive difference. It was just shattered. Now, that is also uncertainty. And then naturally, when the institution is closed up till the 31st of May, we actually don't know what to do. And there is this fear that we will not be able to take these things forward. So what I want to say is that it's everywhere. I just shared with you how uh, something that I had been planning for years, and then I worked for months, and then collectively we worked for many, many weeks, day and night. It just uh, it just it just closed, actually. So that is there. But having said all of that, um, after 2 or 3 days into the unexpected holidays of the pandemic, I personally realized that this is no way of going on in life. That you're just sitting, listening to news, and uh, reading depressing things on the social media, and then talking with the family, and not knowing what to do. Then, like I mentioned to you, that uh, I started learning new things, number one. And number two, I started positively engaging. So what I did on a personal level, and then we'll talk about what everyone can do also, is that I, on all the different mediums that I'm communicating, I started talking positively of what can be done, and what should be done. And let me share with you that I'm very pleased that PMS is also getting into this relief work. But on we got off on the 14th of March. We basically were asked to close down early. We, as a university, closed down earlier, and so therefore from the 14th. So on the 17th of March, our first relief work rolled out, that we started providing rations to people in the community. And we started off from the city of Laya and from Lahore. Now, fast forward all of that, and we are now providing rations and need-based items, and also awareness, and also counseling in more than 26 cities of Pakistan right now. And there is no organization doing it. It is just a lose-lose, you can say, setup of students and teachers, and we are all into it, and everyone is doing it in their own city, and creating this huge impact in which nearly 11,000 plus families have been supported. Now, like I said, that I'm just a simple teacher, and the people who are doing it are just simple students. And I know for sure, because I'm connected with different organizations, that this figure of 11,000 plus families is huge at this time. Very huge organizations have not been able to achieve that up till now. They are going to, but up till now. So, Tanveer, what I want to say is that the first thing that you have to put into your mind is that you are not going to be overwhelmed, and you are not going to ruin your life due to a virus, due to the coronavirus. That is one thing that you have to first mentally attune yourself. This whole thing is about the mind. I'm now going to from some personal experiences now move on to a film that I was watching yesterday night. Let me share that with you, and then I'll take another question. I'm going to answer your question. When I was watching this film, which you might have also seen, which is called Agent 47. So this Agent 47 is the superhuman created by a scientist, and he basically another people, the villain, wanted to take that formula or whatever, and coming to the end of it, when the agent was when the scientist was taken hostage and was said that he will have to share everything with him, then he very simply said that this is not about being physically strong, it's all about being mentally strong. So the one thing that all of us have to do is to be mentally strong, that we have to be mentally strong, that we have to decide as an individual that I will not succumb to the various consequences of this virus. Mentally, you have to accept this fact that you will have to attune your mind to this, that I am not going to succumb to this virus. I can do far better, and whatever the consequences, I am not going to fall to it. Secondly, what you have to do is that and I'm just sharing what I'm doing or what I believe in, and anyone can disagree with it. And that is, if you do believe in God, then a very important thing is to believe in your faith. That you have to believe that there is this greater being, this greater existence, which will take us out of this. So two things: belief in self and belief in God or belief in Allah. These two dimensions are extremely important at this stage. Fundamentally, you have to mentally attune yourself, and it's not that it's like a switch. It's not like on and off light. It is something that you will have to mentally attune yourself. Now, How can you do it? Now I will come to that. And then there are many other things that you should be doing, but this is the fundamental thing. Now, I basically believe, and like everyone knows, that many people who are not connected have reconnected with God or with Allah. I would like to share with you that there are many friends of mine who I know before this episode would never pray. And actually, many of them would question that we don't even believe that there is a greater existence. And I would never go into a discussion. To be very honest with you, I think that belief is everyone's personal concern. So if someone would say that, I would not go into a conflict. But those same people who thought that there is no greater being and that human beings are the greatest being and there's no need to do anything spiritual, they have reconnected. They have reconnected to my great bewilderment. Actually, I never thought that they would do it, and to my great bewilderment, they have reconnected. So because you asked me this question that how can we overcome it, so I will first of all I would like to state that in your mind you have to reinforce this belief that you are stronger than the virus. You are stronger than the virus and you're not going to succumb to it. Secondly, when we talk about your belief in a greater being or in God or in Allah, then I basically think that the best time to connect with Allah is early in the morning, or with God also. It's early in the morning. Early in the morning when everything is quiet, then you can sit down and read some spiritual book and connect your I think maybe in my earlier workshop I had mentioned that you have to connect the different levels or different segments of your existence, and that means you have to connect your mind first, then you have to connect your heart, and then you have to connect your soul. So these three dimensions are extremely important. That first, naturally, you will connect your mind. So you will connect your mind, and it all depends. Because I've been observant in my life that I've seen people pray, but I usually, when I observe them, I think that they are just doing it mechanically, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it from within. They're just doing it mechanically because everyone is doing it. So this time which has been given to us is a unique time in which we can connect, in which more than mechanical, we can sit, we can read, we can pray, and we can contemplate. And through that contemplation, we can go to the next level, and that is connecting from the heart. And once we start connecting from the heart, then already a lot of our fear is going to dissipate. It is going to evaporate. As long as we are just connecting from the mind, then we will always have that fear, because the mind looks at 2 + 2 = 4. And according to that, we don't have any solution so far. So even when we are connecting in prayer, and we are connecting in a spiritual context, when we are thinking just from the mind, then maybe it doesn't make sense. But the moment we start connecting from the heart or with our emotions, then things would start changing, and that fear would start decreasing. And then as we start connecting through our heart and we immerse ourselves, then I think most importantly, you will connect with the soul. And once you connect with the soul, I assure you, Tanveer Sahab, you will not fear. You will not fear job, and you won't fear staying away from home, and you will not fear being away from family, because then you will understand things in a far, far better way. The third thing that you can do, there are many things to overcome this fear. The third thing that you can do is look into yourself. And when I have also mentioned this earlier in my workshops, that it is considered to be very easy to look into oneself. It is considered, oh, I know everything about myself, but that is not true. Science has proven that that is not true. And it is extremely important that we look into ourselves. We look into our actions. We look into our words. We look into our relationships. We look at ourselves, because no one is perfect. And therefore, in that imperfection, we have to see that What did we do wrong? What could have been done in a better way? What type of attitude do we have? How do we respond to different situations? When someone says something, what do I say in return? Why do I get angry? Why do I get excited? Why is it that I don't like so many things? Why do I like so many things? What are my own hobbies? What is it that I like to do? What is it that I don't like to do? What are the things that people around me make me happy about, and what are the things that make me unhappy about? Now all of these things are things that I have to contemplate and look at, and I have to start looking within myself. मुझे अपने अंदर देखना पड़ेगा, मुझे अपने अंदर झांकना पड़ेगा, मुझे अपने अंदर घुसना पड़ेगा, मुझे ये देखना पड़ेगा कि ये सब कुछ क्यों हो रहा है, ये क्या हो रहा है. और like I mentioned maybe earlier in the previous workshop which we conducted in Islamabad, मैंने आपको कहा कि इंसान सबसे ज्यादा झूठ अपने आप से बोलता है. वी लाई टू आवरसेल्व्स. तो हम अपने आप से झूठ बोलना बंद कर दें. हमें झूठ नहीं बोलना चाहिए. हम अपने आप से झूठ ना बोलें. हमें अपने आप से नहीं छुपना चाहिए. वी शुड नॉट हाइड फ्रॉम आवरसेल्व्स. वी शुड ट्राई टू ब्रिंग ऑल ऑफ दैट विच इज अंडर मेनी लेयर्स. जो है हमें वो लेयर्स उतार देना चाहिए और अपने सामने रख लेना चाहिए. हम क्यों किसी के साथ रूड होते हैं, हम क्यों किसी के साथ पोलाइट होते हैं, हम क्यों किसी को रिस्पेक्ट देते हैं, हम क्यों किसी को रिस्पेक्ट नहीं देते, हम हर वक्त क्यों नहीं सच बोलते, हम हर वक्त क्यों नहीं पोलाइट होते, हम हर वक्त क्यों नहीं जो है लोगों की इज्जत करते. All of these are questions that we have to ask ourselves, and then there are many more questions. मैं आपको शेयर कर लेता हूँ कि even though I've been introspecting for many years, because I basically believe that I'm nothing and I want to improve myself. So this was a unique opportunity. And in this unique opportunity, I was looking at some of those relationships which I had broken off for many years for various reasons. So I had this time to even think about those relationships which no more existed. And I thought about those relationships, and I tried to understand the whole situation again in a different light. And I did something which I thought I would never do, and that is that I reopened channels of communication with many people that I was not communicating with. So I opened up channels of communication. And when I opened up channels of communication, then I had this fear that they would not respond. So आप तो बहुत बड़े fears की बात कर रहे हैं ना, तो I had this fear they would not respond, and they did not respond. So I opened up these channels of communication, and I had this fear they would not respond, and they did not respond. And I was a little bit, you can say, upset that I responded, and even though I was the one who was on the receiving end, and I, with a bigger heart, opened up communication with them, and they have not communicated with me. And I was a little bit upset. But then again in the morning, the next morning, after my contemplation and my prayers with my Allah, I thought that, okay, let's communicate again. So I then again communicated. And I communicated with this belief that they will respond. And way behold that they did not respond. I was very upset. And I was very upset again that, oh, now I communicated for the second time and they have not responded. And what is this all about? And therefore, I decided that I'm not going to communicate with them because I tried 2 times and they have not communicated. So why should I communicate again? And that ended the story. The next day, I developed another, I'm sending you also, many of you, social messages also. I developed this prayer, and when I developed this prayer, I sent it to everyone, but not to these few individuals that I had reopened communication with. And to my great bewilderment, I got so much of positive response based upon that prayer, that as a response to that response, it just came into my heart that let's send this prayer to them. So I sent that prayer to all of those people who were not responding to me. and I sent that prayer. And then the next day, and this becomes the fourth day actually, what I see is that two of them responded to me, and two of them reciprocated with a prayer. And then what happened by afternoon was that three more people responded. Well, that's the total number of people that I was not communicating with. So they also responded, and they also responded with a prayer. And now we are sending each other prayers. And that is how life changes, Tanveer Saab, on a very small note. So we have these preconceived notions about life. Now I'm going to come to a very specific question that you have asked, and that is fear of job. Well, Tanveer Saab, right now, millions of people are going to lose their jobs. But I don't look at it as a obstacle or as a problem. I think this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to do something that maybe we have never done before. Now, God forbid that anyone loses a job, because I think that I'll come to that scenario also. I'm generally talking. I'm not talking about Pak Mission Society or any one of you. I'm generally talking that millions of people are about to lose a job. But on the other hand, millions of people are also going to get a job. Because whenever jobs are lost, somewhere some space is going to be created and new jobs are going to be created. Already, I will just share with you that if you pick up the newspaper, even in this time of depression and in this time of so-called people losing jobs, hundreds of new jobs are being advertised. Just yesterday, in yesterday's newspaper, I saw this government advertisement in which 100 new jobs of technologist, they've called this position technologist, have been advertised. Now, look at this huge opportunity which has emerged. New jobs are going to emerge because the world has changed, and the world in the coming months is going to change further. And look at this, that already what we were talking about even before we started this workshop is that so much more load has come on the internet. So many more people are working from home. So the type of job, the description of job, and the texture of job has changed. I think rather than fearing of what we are going to lose, I think that there is an opportunity to gain something from it, from the new industries that are going to be created, from the new positions that are going to be created, from the new opportunities that are going to be created, from the way things are going to be done differently. New things are going to emerge. So if in these weeks or these months we can reposition ourselves in a better way, and what is that repositioning? That repositioning is that we identify what we want to do, and we prepare ourselves, we prepare our competency, we prepare our skills, and we prepare our abilities in such a way that we are in a position to get a new job, or wherever we are working, we are able to move forward in that also. So this is extremely important, that maybe it seems that the current job that I'm doing, it might be redundant. And I again will just share from a teacher's perspective. Already many people in places that I teach have left teaching because they think that they cannot do distance teaching. Now, why did they think that? My question to them is that why did they think that? They didn't even try it. They just closed their mind and said कि जी नहीं हम distance teaching नहीं कर सकते. तो इसलिए जो है ना we want to, इसको आपको भी पता है, इसको कहते हैं force majeure, कि अब right now the pandemic is a force majeure, and therefore जो है ना we don't want to carry on for the semester. Now, in that situation, it's not because of any organization, and it's not because of the situation. It is actually just because the person thought that he or she cannot do it. Why do I have this cannot do attitude? Why can't I have the can do attitude? I mean, just a few weeks before, I thought that I won't be able to conduct a workshop online because I thought that there's no connectivity, but that's untrue. Things are very different. So we have to experiment. And we can recalibrate ourselves, how we can realign ourselves, and how can we further improve on our knowledge, skills, abilities, and competencies in such a way that we are in a better position to get a job as they are emerging in the coming times. So that is extremely important. Then there was also another fear, and that was a fear of staying at home. Yeah, this is a little bit tough cookie to crack, because naturally we don't have the tendency to stay at home, especially those people who are working on projects, or those people who are more extroverts and are more prone to work outside. This is a new scenario, and we have to adjust to this newer scenario. I think it's again an opportunity to reconnect with your family in a better way. It is a great opportunity to connect with your parents if they are alive. It's a very good opportunity to connect with your spouse. It's a very good opportunity to connect with your children. And if all of these are not there, then it is a very good opportunity to connect with your friends. So again, I think you can rekindle many of your relationships rather than fear staying at home. I think so. This provides a unique opportunity. Also, staying at home provides a unique opportunity to learn something new, like I was mentioning earlier. It is a unique opportunity to start reading something, either virtual reading or physical reading. That means a particular book. You can read that book. You can contemplate on that book. Like I said, that I usually don't read anything 3 times, but I've already read this reflections book 3 times, and I might read it for the 4th time also. I usually don't translate things. So the other day I liked an article of 3 pages, and I'm translating that right now, and hopefully I should be circulating that uh, tomorrow. So I started doing translations. These are new things that one can do. I'm just sharing what I'm doing, and in everyone's context, it's all a different story altogether. But the mental approach has to be that, okay, I have this extra time. What should I do? I was very relaxed, actually. I can share it with you that I was very relaxed in my prayers. What I would do is that sometimes I would pray late, and sometimes I would clump my prayers. But now I have this time, and therefore I'm now praying regularly. So again, I am looking at the opportunities that I have, which I was not doing earlier, and I can do right now. I am getting enrolled in an online program. I've identified an online program which is starting from the 6th, and I plan to enroll today and take that online program. I was sharing with a student of mine that I'm planning to enroll in that program, and the student said, "Sir, but you know much more." And I said, "No, I'm going to learn something from it, and I think it's a unique opportunity. So why shouldn't I enroll in that program?" So again, one can learn something. One can do an online program. One can do an online degree. One can start reconnecting with the greater being. One can start reconnecting with family. You can start teaching your kids. If you're doing it, you can do a little bit more. I mean, you can start playing with your kids. You can play with them. You can create excitement in their lives. So there are so many things that can be done from home, which maybe we were not doing earlier. And rather than fearing it, I think that this is a great opportunity to do those things not done before. So many people have started doing cooking. Well, you must have seen this on the social media, that so many people have started cooking. So many people have started doing gardening in their home. And this cooking thing is really picking up, I think so, because people are doing a lot of experiments, and they're now indulging in this cooking stuff. So there are so many things that one can do. Another thing that you talked about was this fear from being away from home. Now, this is another dimension, that, okay, if we are doing a project, then we are away from home, and naturally in this period of uncertainty of pandemic, we fear for our families, and our families are fearing for us. Now, in this particular context, in Visa and all my great friends who are online, I think that the most important thing, that if you are away from home, is safety and security. This is extremely important, and this is something that we should not compromise on. And I did send, I don't know if everyone is not in this, then I would like to request Alim that if he could bring in all our new participants of today into our leadership WhatsApp group. Alim? Aleem, are you here?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. We can do it.
If those people who are not a part of our WhatsApp group, you can include them also into our WhatsApp group, because I will be utilizing that group a little bit more now from now on, and
Sure, sir. We can do that.
it's good that they can be there, and then questions can also be asked over there. So
Yeah,
I mean,
we have one more question from Kiran and one from Tanya. So we can
but
take.
I've still not answered, Aleem. If you
Sure,
allow
sure,
me
sir.
to answer
Sure, sir.
the way from home thing, and then I will take as many questions as you want. It's only now
Sure, sir.
question and answer. It's all question and answer now.
Right, sir.
The away from home thing is a very important question, and like I said, that safety and security is extremely important, and especially in the relief work, it is even more important. And there are two aspects to this, actually three aspects. One is security of home, safety and security of home. The second one is your own individual safety and security, and the third dimension is the safety and security of the community. And there can be many more dimensions, but I'm just going to talk about these three. And if there's another question, then we can open it up. The first, the first.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Can I ask the question now?
No. I'm just answering that question about safety and security of home. Just let me Kiran answer this, because this is a very important aspect nowadays. So, like I said, that this fear of being away from home actually encapsulates three levels: the safety and security of home, safety and security of health, and safety and security of the community. Now, the most important thing, excuse me, we have some crosstalk. If you could just avoid that, because it becomes a bit difficult. Now, if we talk about safety and security of home, then a very important thing is that first, I think that charity and relief begins from home. First of all, as responsible citizens and as the people who have so much of exposure, I think the first thing that you have to do is teach safety and security protocols to your own family. And it's extremely important. Sometimes you think it is known to everyone, it is not. You must sit with your family and go through all the safety and security protocols with your own family. That what are the do's and don'ts of safety and security at a home? First of all, everyone knows that washing hands and also of hygiene and cleanliness. Now, all of those need to be exhibited by you to your family. Number two is that how is it that people should come outside and inside of the home? Shoes should be taken off outside. They should be sterilized. When you're coming back from outside, you should be taking your clothes off, and you should be going for a wash. You should keep your room clean, your bathroom clean, your utensils clean, all of that. Thirdly, like safety and security is that extremely important that you have to make sure that you have some kitchen protocols, that how is the kitchen going to be used, because the kids can do something which they should not be doing. So you should establish your own kitchen protocols in a proper way depending upon the age of your children, and you must ensure that those protocols are practiced in totality. Another very important thing which all of us have heard but must be communicated to the people at home is the use of the sanitizer, and then using the sanitizer and then going, let's say, to a cooking range. That is again extremely important, that that should not be used. And if you are using the cooking range, then you should not have used the sanitizer before that, because it is inflammable. Then another important dimension is that because we are emphasizing on utilizing water so much, and everyone is washing hands and washing face all the time, and we are utilizing these hundreds and hundreds of liters of water every day per person, and we are going to have a water shortage out of this. So again, telling people how to use lesser water, and how they can use lesser amount of tissues also, and closing the tap. All of these very fundamental safety and security elements are extremely important. Then another thing is that we must also be very aware that when we are at home, then how are the kids going to open up the door? Because now the kids have access to opening up the door. And I mean, the whole world is beautiful, but in all of this beauty, there are also unexpected situations which can arise, and some unwanted persons can come into your home. So everyone at home, before you are leaving your home for a project, must be taught that what are the do's and don'ts of opening up the gate or opening up the main door of the house, or of the home or of the flat. That how are you going to ask who the person is, who are you going to open up the door for, and who are you not going to open up the door for? What are the protocols of engaging with a stranger? Now, all of those must be followed and must be taught at home. That these are the do's and don'ts of opening up doors and gates at home or in the flat or wherever we are living. So that is another very important aspect. Another aspect which sometimes our people at home tend to forget, I don't know, maybe not in your case, but in my case, it has been happening, is that sometimes phones are not charged. So one protocol which I very early off started on was that I ensure that all phones are charged. So making sure that when you are away from your home, phones are charged at home so that there is connectivity. Another thing which is very important is that I would suggest to everyone is that if you are going away from home, then make sure that at least 1,000 rupees of credit is in the mobile phone which is being used at home. Why? Because sometimes it's difficult to get phones charged nowadays. Not everyone is very conversant with the internet, and therefore it is our responsibility to ensure that anyone at home must have access to telecommunication. So that is extremely important. And then somewhere you have even the kids, because they tend to forget, is to have a chit on which you have written down emergency numbers. So those emergency numbers should not only be written in our offices, but should also be written in our home, that these are the numbers which have to be dialed in case of an emergency. So these certain protocols which are extremely important have to be followed at home. Again, when to wear a mask, when not to wear a mask, all of these things are there on the internet, but actually practicing them is extremely important, and implementing them. Then another important dimension is our own personal security and safety. I would like to share with you that because we are engaged in this relief work, unfortunately, 4 incidents have happened with us. 2 have happened with me personally, and 2 have happened with my own staff or my own students. Personally, we had gone for a distribution, and unfortunately, the mob, even though we had locals with us, even though we were 8 people and we had 2 locals, despite that, the mob came onto us and ransacked everything. Now, that has happened once. And then it happened to a lesser extent in another incident, because people are now very desperate. But with one of my students, you'll be very amazed to know that they were utilizing their own home for packaging, and the people ransacked their home because they knew that there was a lot of stuff over there, and they came in and they ransacked everything. Now, these type of desperate situations are emerging, and many videos also are now available of many people who are taking these videos, that how the major population is now getting desperate, and that is true. They are getting desperate. So you have to ensure that certain protocols are followed by you and by your team. Secondly, the safety protocols, those are security protocols. The safety protocols are to ensure that everyone has a proper mask, that everyone is wearing gloves, that you are wearing eyeglasses. Even if your eyeglass sight is not bad, then you should be wearing some eyeglasses. You should be wearing a net on your head, and you must be ensuring that you follow the social distancing protocol as a team, as individual, and also with the people that you are engaging. So all of these safety protocols are extremely important, and then also in the community. So we'll go on. I just wanted to open up the safety and security dimension. Next question, please. Yeah, Aline. The 2 things that I basically shared to overcome fear, and as a result of fear, stress and depression, was prayer and reconnecting with yourself and with the superior being, which is God or Allah or anyone that we believe in. Besides that, one thing which can overcome stress and depression is actually a reverse of social distancing. You do know that this nomenclature of social distancing is also now being rejected, and that many psychologists and many people are stating that this word itself is wrong, that this is not social distancing, this is physical distancing. And social, we are all social animals, and therefore we cannot socially be distant from each other. And therefore we are now talking about social connectivity. The first thing which I would recommend is that if you're not living alone, if you're living alone, then that is a different situation. But if you are living with a family, then you have to reconnect with your family. You have to rebuild and reinforce your relationships at all levels. It could be people of your same age, it could be those who are younger to you or those who are elder to you. Now, I don't know, I can only share many things that I am doing, and everyone has a different circumstance. I mean, because I spend so much of time outside, I've actually never been eating at home. So this whole eating at home concept is also new for me, at least. And so what I do is that I eat with my family. And rather than, because first it used to be like this, that I would always have breakfast. The first person to have breakfast is me, and I would go out, and the last person ever to come back would be me, and that usually I would have had my dinner. But now all these 3 meals I have at home, and I have it with my family, and I enjoy it with my family. So one way of overcoming depression is to connect with people and not go into isolation or into a solitary confinement, because that is the worst depression that can happen. So you start reconnecting. Another thing which I had mentioned to you, that if you have people around you, then start playing indoor games and also outdoor games. So don't feel shy. There is no game which is too childish, and there is no game which is too intellectual. So you can start playing games as family or as friends or whatever. And yeah, all of this thing about social distancing within the family, actually, I can't understand that too much, that everyone should be 6 feet away. I mean, if someone is sick, then definitely they should be social distancing. But if everyone is hale and hearty and healthy, then I don't understand why there should be that level of distancing within the family. Yes, if someone does get a flu, then isolate that person. But again, if you are isolating that person from a distance, you can even interface with that person. So you can start playing, you can start enjoying, you can start reading, and start then questioning each other based upon that reading. So I mean, I'm just sharing one book with you. I can share so many, but I have read Reflections, and I've made sure everyone in my family has read Reflections, and we have discussions on it. So I say, okay, every day let's just pick up one chapter and let's have a discussion on it. So, and I've never done these things before, let me tell you, in my house. This is something absolutely new for me and also for members of my family. So that is another way of doing it. Then again, I had mentioned earlier that gardening and cooking are considered to be very good stress and depression relievers. So if you don't like to do, let's say, cooking, then maybe you can do gardening, or maybe some other hobby, any hobby that you have. You can start looking at that. Another way of doing away with depression is something which I've started with all of my students. I've actually, I can share that with you, and I've actually made all of my students write a journal, because these are unprecedented times. So this is an assignment given to my students, that from the 1st of April, they had to write a journal. From the 1st of April to the 31st of May, they have to write a journal every day. So in that journal, what they have to do is that they have to write one positive thing and one negative thing. And every day it should be different. So every day they have to look at one negative thing which they're writing down and one positive thing. So and then in between, if they're learning something, that is an additional point. But it's not mandatory that they have to learn one thing every day, because that puts too much of pressure. So I said that if you learn something, then you are going to write down something learned as another heading, and you will write that down. But something very unique which my students actually resisted, I'll share that with you, is that I asked them that they have to draw something every week. So every week at the end of 7 days, they have to draw something. And so many students asked me, said, what should we draw? Then many students asked me that we don't know how to draw. Many people said that we don't like drawing, and all of this was coming in. Well, this is something new that I am also doing, that I don't like to draw. And actually, if you did attend my workshop, then you know that how bad I scribble on the whiteboard also. But having said that, what I shared to them was that on the 7th of April, I will share my first drawing with everyone, and that will be the first public drawing I have ever shared with anyone again. So it's another first time. Now, drawing itself, according to many psychologists, is a very good antidepressant, because what happens is that you are able to, it's a catharsis which you put onto paper, and it could be anything. It could be black and white, or it could be a colorful thing. So what I have compelled all of my students actually is that they have to make at least 8 drawings, because every week for 8 weeks, they have to draw something. And then what we're going to do at the end is that we're going to present it to each other. And the first presentation of the journal and the drawings would be of mine. So I'll just share the first one with them, and then I said I'll do it at the end. So that was just an example. And then after that, we are going to do short presentations on our journals and our drawings, and what we make out of those drawings. So that is another way of doing it. An even better way is to start doing regular exercise. Early in the morning, if you wake up at 5, then there's hardly anyone out at that time. You can go for a walk. And if you don't want to go outside your own compound, then you can walk within your compound. You can just sit. Nowadays, the air is so much more healthier. The sky is so much more beautiful. So at night, what you can do, you can now start seeing the stars, which were never seen before, because there was so much of dust and smog and whatnot, pollution, and therefore we couldn't see the stars properly. Now we can see the stars in a much better way. So you can start doing stargazing at night. You can start contemplating, place yourself in these billions of galaxies, and that who and where are we? Or in the morning, like I said, you can go out for a walk. You can start playing a new game. I don't know. I mean, you could start playing badminton, table tennis, football, something. You can do a physical activity if you want to. That would be great. You can start playing with the kids. You can start playing with your cousins. You can start doing that within your own compound, not outside. So again, the important thing to get out of stress and depression would be to start connecting with people around you, would start connecting with yourself, to start connecting with nature, to start connecting with your hobbies, and also to pick up something new, like I just mentioned, that maybe start drawing or start painting or something like that, which is very gratifying, let me tell you. And then again, the fourth level in all of this is looking at opportunities. I had mentioned earlier in my workshop when I was in Pak Mission Society that I basically think that there are infinite opportunities. And those infinite opportunities have actually increased in this pandemic. So many new opportunities are emerging, Kiran. And if you start looking around, then rather than feeling depressed that what is going to happen, I think that you should be excited about what can happen. So that is something which can also make you overcome all of this. So you can choose, pick and choose, and make a combination of things, connecting with self, connecting with God, connecting with nature, connecting with family, connecting with challenges. There are so many things which we can do, or a combination of them, to ensure that an idle mind is a devil's workshop, that we don't get idle and we don't get depressed and we don't get stressed with all of this. So that is what I would think would be the best way forward. But if you have another question on it, Kiran, you can ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I just want to comment that I myself is fine. Like, I don't have the depression because we have scheduled our day. I and my husband have scheduled our day that we are going to sit for the work as well, and we have to give time to the children as well, and we have to cook as well. So we are fine. But in my neighborhood, I listen to many, quarrels and people fighting around. So that's why I asked the question. Because
the same thing that you should be telling them also. See, Kiran, you should be telling them also. That is extremely important. And let me tell you that you're very right. In these past 2 weeks, I would just like to actually build up upon what you have said. I have actually saved 6 people from getting a divorce because many people are fighting also. So yeah, true, that is there. But that whole negativity has to be changed into positivity. You have to share with people that, oh, let's not focus on negativity, let's look at positivity, because if we start focusing on negativity, then families are going to get broken because of that. And it's very true what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So another thing I want to add that, like in the evening, we hear so many people giving azan, and at that time, like I tell my children that they are praying, and now it's time for us as well. Like we pray in the morning as well at 3 o'clock as well, but in the evening when the azan is happening, we start praying as well
Yeah.
so that pandemic should end. So in
Yeah.
this way, I'm seeing that we are also accepting others, and there is more interfaith harmony being happening around us. So
Oh
that's
yes.
a great opportunity. God has given a great opportunity to us through this pandemic, that all of us should collaborate and live with each other peacefully.
Yes, absolutely. People are now understanding humanity. People are becoming more empathetic. These are great outcomes of this, Kiran. I think so. That people are becoming more empathetic. People are becoming more cooperative, collaborative. Rightly said by you. And we are understanding humanity. We are now getting out of our silos, which we used to have, because we understand that those silos cannot protect us. So it's all about humanity now, and that's the great thing which has emerged, I think so, as a consequence of this. So you're very right, and I absolutely agree with what you're saying. Yes, more questions, please.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kiran. Very kind of you.
Yes, anyone else? If you want to ask some question, you can unmute, please.
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yes, Philpus Zahur.
No, sir. I'm Shamoun Shahid.
Okay, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
No,
My name is Shamoun Shahid, and I'm
Ji.
working as an intern here in DRR department, Disaster Risk Reduction Department.
Ji.
So I have two questions. As you said, we can cope this unforeseen situation with different things like adopt change or togetherness. As we saw our nation, we are not welcoming to adopt change. As well, our nation is diverse, and social devils like discrimination on religious grounds, as well on geographical grounds, and in caste or other grounds exist. So how can we come together, and how can we adopt that change to cope
excellent.
with the situation?
Very good question, Shamoun Shahid. Yeah, Shamoun Shahid, now I got your name right, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much, Shamoun. All right, so now we're talking about adopting or adapting towards change, and also discrimination. One thing is very clear, Shamoun and all of my friends who are a part of this discussion, and that is that we cannot expect to have an egalitarian world. There is nothing known as an egalitarian world. This is an idealism which does not exist. And that egalitarian world is that everyone is equal and everything will be equal for everyone. It's a very good concept and it's a very good ideal, but maybe it's not that practical. Now, talking about adaptability and this discrimination which is taking place, first we'll talk about adaptability. The problem, Shamoun, over here is that, first of all, proper counseling is not being done. And secondly, we as a nation have very high expectations. We always want to do something very big. Whatever we think is something big. Until we don't do something big, we think it is insignificant. This mindset has to be changed through people like you, who must talk with people, not talk to people. You must talk with people and tell them that This thinking big is not going to take us anywhere. And that is why I say that this is a great opportunity, that this virus has made us start thinking small actually. This big thing is no more. We're not talking about having big institutions. We're not talking about having big machinery. We're not talking about having big setups. Now, this virus has actually changed our thinking. We have been compelled to change our thinking, that we have to start thinking small if we want to combat this pandemic. So overall, what we have to do is that we have to start making people within our own home, first of all, first within ourselves. You see, change has to take place within ourselves. If we don't change ourselves, then we're not going to change people. So first we have to realize that we have to start thinking small. When we start thinking small, then we can start motivating others or convincing others that think small. And then we can start talking to communities or institutions to think small. So this whole thinking small concept is extremely important. And do you know one reason why Japan has been able to control the pandemic even without going into social distancing? Is because they think small. The Japanese think small mindset and the Japanese think small attitude has actually positioned it in such a good place that even though it has a very high percentage of old population and a very densely placed population, despite all of that, they have been able to control the pandemic and not even go into social distancing of isolation or of landlock. They've not created any landlocks at all so far. So the first thing about adaptability and change is to think small, then to start from self, that I should change myself. For example, like I shared with you at the very beginning, that how I change towards technology. All of you must be very technology prone, but Aleem knows that I am not technology prone. But the first thing that I've done in these 15 days is to enable myself to learn technology and to start doing online things, which I had never done. I mean, I'm so much of a non-technology person that I have never used the ATM card. Can you imagine this? I've never used the ATM card. And the first thing that I did when I heard that we are going in for a lockdown was to apply for the ATM card. That I asked my bank, please issue the ATM card to me. So that's how technology averse I was. And now I've started doing everything on the internet, and also, like I mentioned, even my own banking transactions. I asked the bank that I want to do internet banking, and I also have the ATM card, which for you might seem to be a big joke or hilarious, but that's the way I was. I never believed in these type of things. So small changes have to start taking place within us. For me, learning how to cut my own hair was something huge, was something big. For others, it could be again something very small. So this small and big thing is very relative, and I think so. The pandemic and the coronavirus has taught us that there is nothing small and big. I really like this messaging which is going on the internet, that tanks have been replaced by ventilators and generals have been replaced by doctors. So I mean, that's how things change. We start to understand and realize what is really important in life, and those are always small things which matter. So for adaptability towards change, please first start thinking small yourself, then sharing those examples without being shy. One should not be shy of one's own thoughts. Share those thoughts with other people. Again, it doesn't matter that you don't have to change 1 million people. Just change one person, just one person. If you have changed one person, you have changed the universe. You've changed the universe, because that one person is a building block of the universe. So just change one person. Don't change 1 million people. Don't change 22 crore people. Don't change 7.7 billion people. Change yourself. You are also one person. You have also changed the universe then. When you think that you have changed yourself a little bit, then change one person around you, two people around you, three people around you. That is great. Don't think about huge changes taking place. And the world understands now huge changes is something of the past altogether. So a good thing from this pandemic is that we have come back to the building block of society, which is family. And again, in your context about discrimination, yes, it is there. It is very unfortunate. Again, we all of us must together work to overcome this discrimination. We must, through our own examples, show that one should not discriminate. We should, through our own actions, show this talk shop culture cannot take place. It has to be walking your talk. We, through our own examples, have to show that this discrimination should not and shall not take place. We have to show that fraternity, that bond of togetherness, that bond of humanity, that yes, all of us are different. I mean, we are of different genders, we are of different color, we are of different perceptions, we are of different regions, we have different geographical background, we are of different traditions, we are of different value systems, we have different religions, we are different. But in all of that diversity, there is actually unity. And that unity is that of humanity. So that humane context must be advocated through our actions everywhere, whereby we can sit together, whereby we can eat together, whereby we can talk together, whereby we can smile together, whereby we can laugh together, whereby we can work together, whereby we can change together, whereby we can make an impact on community together. So that fundamental togetherness of humanity, because we are one species. So this species has to stay together. And all other things which are discriminatory positions, discriminatory authorities, those are all superficial. But what is permanent is that we are human. And that is what we must propagate. And that is what we must follow. And that is what we must practice, is that human nature within us. And that is extremely important, Shamoon, I think so. Ji.
Yes, anyone else?
Sir, Zishan here.
Zishan Wilson.
Sir, Zishan Wilson is here.
Ji.
Sir, my question is, first of all, like जैसे technology की adoptability के हवाले से बात कर रहे थे. Actually, we are all the resistors, ठीक है, और we are reserved to one system. और secondly, sir, एक और question यही है कि what about those people who are reserved hearts in their minds?
Who are? Sorry, थोड़ी सी break हो रही है आपकी आवाज. जी. Hello.
What about? जी सर, आवाज आ रही है आपको?
अब आ रही है. जी प्लीज पूछिएगा.
जी सर, what about those people who are reserved and lifting up discrimination in their hearts and minds? How can we change them?
Those people who are reserved, what does
how can we change their thoughts?
What does like, reserved
sir,
mean?
Like sir, religion wise, like we are Christians or we are Muslims. As मतलब आपने अभी कुछ दिन पहले भी देखा होगा कि जिस तरह की डिस्क्रिमिनेशन ग्रोसरी राशन
true. चलें, ठीक है. I get a little bit of. Now let's get a little bit of your question. थोड़ा सा I'll be very candid, Zishan. Please do forgive me for that. ठीक है? जो है ना, मैंने 2 इंसिडेंट्स देखे हैं डिस्क्रिमिनेशन के, वो भी ऑन सोशल मीडिया. हाँ जी, Zishan, is my voice carrying through? Hello.
Yes sir, of course.
All right, good. मैंने 2 जो आपने एग्जांपल दिया, मैं इसी की बात कर लेता हूँ. मैंने 2 डिस्क्रिमिनेशन के एग्जांपल्स देखे और पर्सनल लेवल के ऊपर मैंने दोनों एग्जांपल्स के अंदर जो है ना, उन दोनों एग्जांपल्स को कंडेम भी किया, वोकली भी मैंने किया, और जिसको कहते हैं मैंने अपने स्टूडेंट्स के साथ भी बात की. 2 एग्जांपल्स देखे मैंने. हाउएवर, मैंने हंड्रेड्स ऑफ एग्जांपल्स देखे हैं जिसमें कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं है. नाउ इफ आई कैन रैंडमली मैं कह लेता हूं कि इफ आई हैव सीन 300 एग्जांपल्स वेयर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हैज नॉट टेकन प्लेस एंड 2 एग्जांपल्स ऑफ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन टेकिंग प्लेस, चलें इसको मैं राउंड ऑफ कर लेता हूं. That means 1% of examples where discrimination has taken place and 99% of examples where discrimination has not taken place. I'm not going to look at the 1%. I will condemn the 1%. I will, as a human being, try to find a solution to that 1%. I will try to engage with those people who are involved in the discrimination, that they should not discriminate in future. I will publicly condemn that discrimination, but I will, Zishan, actually celebrate the 99% who are not discriminating. Now, I would like to share with you that about 450 of my students in 26 cities of Pakistan are engaged in relief work and engaged with inter-community activities. I know for a fact that none of the 450 of my students have even an iota of discrimination in their mind or their actions. Why should I not celebrate those 450? I can assume, here I'm going to go for an assumption, that the 50 to 55 people who are a part of this discussion do not have discrimination in their mind and will condemn discrimination. This is my Pakistan.
Sure.
This is my community. This is my world. I cannot ensure 7.7 billion people not to discriminate. Like I said, this is not an egalitarian world. We are not living in an ideal world. We will be living in an ideal world in heaven, but this is not an ideal world. I basically think that we should make people aware of negativity and also of discrimination, but we should not overwhelm itself onto us, because is the glass half full or half empty? I want to look at the glass half full, because there is a lot of good taking place. There is a lot of humanity taking place. I know people who will give their lives for people of different religions, both from all different sectors. Let me tell you, it could be one religion or the other religion. I know people who are bonded together from different religions. I have seen people from different religions sacrificing for each other. I have seen people from different religions going out of the way for each other. I have seen people from different religions and different ethnicity and different geographical backgrounds and different languages and cultures doing what angels would do for each other. I would celebrate all of that, Zishan. And yes, what I would do is that I would condemn wherever discrimination is taking place and would try to work towards a better future, a better tomorrow, and also see that how can we as a community tend to do away with this. And now we are improving. I mean, just look at this positivity which has emerged. I'll just share with you that till yesterday, America was absolutely vehemently against Iran as a nation. Well, there might be a few people that are not good over there. There are many not good people everywhere in every country. But the good thing is that 30 senators got together and said that we have to do away with sanctions and we have to immediately provide them medical and food assistance. I would celebrate that. I would celebrate those 30 senators who have said that. I want to celebrate the other many people within that nation who are saying that we have to provide humanitarian assistance to Iran. I would celebrate that. I don't know if I've been able to answer.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, any other question, please?
Sir, hi, Philpas here. I have questions, sir.
जी Philpas Zuhur. जी.
Good afternoon, sir.
जी, good afternoon, Philpas. कैसे हैं आप?
सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि मेटा थिंकिंग के बारे में आपने बात की थी कि हम खुद को किस तरह कर सकते हैं, कि अपनी करेक्शन किस तरह कर सकते हैं. इसके हवाले से मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि हम वो कौन सा फ्रेमवर्क है कि हम मेटा थिंकिंग के थ्रू अपने आप को बेहतर कर सकते हैं.
This is a very long question and actually a topic of my area because I'm an applied psychologist. I'm just telling you my background. And ये अगर आप WhatsApp ग्रुप के अंदर डाल दें तो मैं इसके अंदर जो है ना आहिस्ता आहिस्ता आप लोगों को बताता जाऊंगा इसके ऊपर, बिकॉज एक सेशन में तो ये वैसे भी नहीं हो सकता. And when I teach behavior, तो I take 66 classes, even though I'm only asked to take 28, क्योंकि उनको मैं कहता हूँ कि 28 classes के अंदर हो नहीं सकता. I need to take a lot of classes because this is a universe in itself. So I think this is a great question that you have asked. If you could ask it on the WhatsApp group, then what I will promise you, Philpas, is that I will continue with it. Like every day, I will open up a new topic for you. What do you think about that?
Okay, sir.
है
Sir,
ना?
I am also a student of psychology, sir.
Great. I only have 5 degrees on psychology and 72 international publications.
MashaAllah,
Student of
MashaAllah.
psychology.
MashaAllah.
Mm.
Thank
So
you
I
so
would
much.
like to
So
talk
house
on
is
that. I
open.
think that's very good.
House is open. If anyone asks.
Yeah, I would like to ask another question. Sir, could you tell us little about emotional intelligence as well? Just little about emotional intelligence.
Again is a part of the same question that Philpus asked, but just to, because this is a relatively shorter question, तो emotional intelligence के बहुत सारे schools of thought. However, जिसको कहते हैं the simplest one is basically which goes beyond emotional intelligence, that we talk about the emotional quotient, from which emotional intelligence basically tends to emanate. Now, some of you might recall that we basically fundamentally have 4 quotients. We have a physical quotient, we have an intelligence quotient, we have an emotional quotient, and we have a spiritual quotient. So human beings fundamentally have 4 different quotients or 4 different dimensions. Now, before I go on to emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, is that the first one is our physical one, and which again is a huge subject. We just think that maybe just appearance. In physical quotient, there are 56 different components. Kiran, there are 56 different components of the physical quotient. Huge topic in itself.
Right.
Again, encompassing my physical dimension to my body language, to why I like, let's say, a Mercedes, or why I like a Suzuki Meran, to the type of furniture that I like, to the type of pen that I use, to many other dimensions. Are you getting this? This is all physical quotient. Then the intelligence quotient itself is about our mind, which is a subject in its own. The most complex of all quotients is our spiritual quotient, and I think this is a great time actually to fine-tune our spiritual quotient in this time of uncertainty. But coming to your question, which is the emotional quotient, then in emotional quotient also, the first thing which is highlighted and about empathy, and even though it is about social connectivity, and even though it is about people around us, but if we look at the very famous book of Daniel Goleman and many of his subsequent books also, which talk about emotional intelligence, then it is about self-awareness. Self-awareness is the most important thing. And what Philpus was talking about is how do we get self-aware? Well, in short, and Philpus must be knowing about, but those who don't know, there are 712 different models and different tools by which we can become more self-aware. Now, those 712 tools or models are not the ultimate. They are just the tip of the iceberg. Those are those 712 tools or models which are mostly used by psychologists to understand human beings. But there are thousands and thousands of more models and tools which are used also. So that is how complex we are as a human being, that how we can tend to understand ourselves. So that's self-awareness. Now, secondly, in emotional intelligence is after we understand ourselves, is the second component which we call empathy. And when we talk about empathy, then actually before understanding empathy, it is more important to understand sympathy, apathy, and antipathy. When we understand those 3 pathies, then we start understanding empathy in a better way. And later on, when we go into our WhatsApp discussions, then ask this question again, and I'll go on to that. When we understand ourselves and we start understanding others around us, the thing that emerges is what we call team spirit or team building. How can we work together? How can we live together? How can we survive together? How can we find solutions together? So that whole concept of togetherness is actually based upon 2 fundamental pillars. One is understanding self and those around you. And then that eventually leads to what we call nowadays very popularly talked about concept of synergy and of synergy and all of these things which are emanating from all of that. So the whole concept of emotional intelligence, Kiran, is very complex. And yes, I would also like to talk more on this topic itself in our WhatsApp group discussion, because it entails a lot, I think so. Is it okay, or you have a specific question?
Thank you, sir. That's marvelous. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sir,
We can take the last question of the day. Last question, Lee.
So do we have any other question, please?
May I?
Tanya.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Tanya and I'm working as a project officer. My question turned into comment. As you said that पॉजिटिव रहना स्टार्ट में पॉजिटिव रहना है और फियर डिप्रेशन एंजाइटी इंक्रीज हो रही है पाकिस्तान में नहीं पूरी दुनिया में इंक्रीज होती जा रही है बट आपने बड़ी अच्छी तरीके से इस चीज़ को हमें बताया कि सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन एंड रियलाइजेशन नाउ दिस इज़ द टाइम कि हम सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन और रियलाइजेशन की तरफ जाएं और अपने फैमिली के साथ टाइम स्पेंड करें और नाउ दिस इज़ द टाइम कि हम लोग रिकनेक्ट करें अपने आप से बिकॉज जब हम इतने ज़्यादा बिजी हो जाते हैं तो वी फॉरगॉट आवरसेल्फ मेनी टाइम्स कि जो चीज़ हमें अच्छी लगती है हम अपनी बिजी लाइफ में वो कर ही नहीं पाते हैं सो इस सारे सिनेरियो में शायद मैं सिर्फ अपनी उसके बारे में कहूँगी कि आई रोट 2 or 3 स्टोरीज क्योंकि मुझे स्टोरीज लिखना बहुत पसंद है तो आई रोट 2 or 3 स्टोरीज लॉकडाउन में सो इट्स गुड डू व्हाटएवर
शेयर करें ना मैडम तानिया शेयर इट विद अस ऑन द व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप आई वुड लाइक टू रीड देम डेफिनेटली
श्योर आई विल सो इट्स गुड एक पॉजिटिव नोट पे एंड करना चाहूंगी इस बात को कि जो चीजें हमें करना पसंद है और जो बिजी लाइफ में हम नहीं कर पाते नाउ दिस इज द टाइम कि हम उस चीज को कर पाएं
जी एब्सोल्युटली बहुत खूबसूरत तरीके से आपने इसको जो है ना समराइज किया और thank you so much everyone. I would just like to based upon Madam Tania's very nice comment I would just like to further condense it that sharing is caring and Johanna let's share whatever we have and even sharing good thoughts is the ultimate sharing that if all of us can start sharing our good thoughts with each other at every level from home to community let's start sharing because that is caring. Secondly, today is the first day of the rest of my life. आज मेरी बकिया ज़िंदगी का पहला दिन है. It doesn't matter what we did before. What matters is what we are doing today and what we are doing tomorrow. And the third thing is that life is about continuous improvement through small steps, which the Japanese talk about Kaizen, improvement through small steps. And that is what it is. Every day we should try to improve ourselves and become a better human being. That should be the essence of life, that how can I become a better human being, and that can only be done through small steps and especially by changing our mindset. I would like to end with the words of Jesus, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all of your strength. This is verse 30 chapter 12 of the book of Mark. And another very important thing is that how can we do it? That also has been beautifully summarized in verse 31 of the same chapter of the same book, and that is love your neighbor as yourself. So that neighbor could also be someone in your own family, or it could be someone outside your family, or it could be someone outside your community. It's about all neighbors. So let's start loving our neighbors and the way we love ourselves, and let's go beyond ourselves and start loving each other and sharing with each other and caring for each other and supporting each other. Just by supporting each other, by spreading hope, let me tell you, the biggest form of giving is the giving of hope. So if we start giving hope to each other, then you will see how lives will flourish, how lives will blossom, how lives would change. And that is what we have to do. We have to give hope to each other. We have a beautiful today and we have a beautiful tomorrow. That beautiful tomorrow is going to unfold. We are in a time of great pain and agony and of uncertainty, but there is hope for a better tomorrow. And that can be done by supporting each other, by supporting our communities, by using our religious places and our churches to make a huge positive impact where they are. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was my honor, it was my privilege, it was my distinction to have spent these lovely 2 hours with all of you. I'm very grateful to the Pak Mission Society, who has joined me with a lovely family. I know that sometimes I just keep going on babbling, but let me tell you, every moment that we are together, either when we are together in a venue, or we are together like we are today virtually, I am very grateful to God and to my Allah that this unique relationship is blossoming. And I look forward to the fact that all of you are playing your roles in a better way wherever you are. And I know that if we start playing our roles in a better way, we will change our families, we will change our communities, we will change our nation, and we will change the globe to move towards that oneness. And that oneness is the oneness of humanity. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care, stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, stay happy, and make sure that you take care of all of your loved ones. May God bless you, and may you always stay blessed. Thank you so much.